good afternoon. How are we all doing? Everybody making a bucket load of cash. Big moves today. Finally. Afternoon, Shanta. Stay long S&P. Come on. I wouldn't stay long on anything S&P because it hasn't opened yet. Give it 8 minutes. We'll have a look. Afternoon, Ian, Monkey, Danny, Evil, Martin, Gregors, Kennelly, JC, Peter, Virginia. Markets starting to play ball finally. Yes, they are. Afternoon, Crumb, Fletch, Brian. Nasty Naz. I haven't even looked at it yet. I'll have a look at that in a minute. Afternoon, Day Trader, Flav. So just a quick recap on the morning. We had Euro PMIs all came out mixed. Pound PMIs all came out positive. So the pound rallied and everyone longed it, and then they collapsed it through the floor. I'm short. We've got CAD this afternoon at 2:45. So it's going to be a tricky open. Basically, Canadian interest rates are going to come out as expected. I say that. I'm expecting them to, so is everybody else. And then we've got the flash PMIs for services and manufacturing for the US. So 2:45, we've got high volatility US news, although the US has moved dramatically today. We've already had a very big, strong downside move on the US. And that CAD interest rate is likely to give volatility. So the main focus for the Canadian dollar is going to be the press conference at 3:30, where they're going to give us forward guidance for the next month to a quarter. So the open of the US could well be a little bit tight and contracted, as it was with the European markets this morning. So we'll see what happens. DAX this morning, we opened, took a long, just behind my head, took a long on the pre-market break. We didn't go anywhere at all for the first hour and a half. And then we sat around for about another hour and a half, and then it pushed up, hit target. So I got out of both of my positions at 2R because the market just wasn't going anywhere. And now we're almost up at 5R rally. So good moves on the DAX. If you did hold the DAX this morning, well done. You're still in it. Obviously, bear in mind the US is about to open. That will probably move it as well. So you might want to get out. And again, it might fly through. We're at 125 ADR. So could go anyway, couldn't it? FTSE didn't manage to get out of it. So I'm in a hedge. We tapped 2R to the downside, but I didn't take it off. So I was looking for a move. So I'm going to hold this. See if we can get a move on. So US indices. Yeah, moves out the highs on the NASDAQ. DOW has been rallying through Globex. S&P is rallying through Globex. You would expect that to be the case because the US dollar is collapsing through the floor. So huge moves on US to the downside. US dollar yen's just about to hit my target. That downside position. I'm just going to take that one off. Can the PMIs drop it further? I'm taking it off. That's going to bank me 350-ish, isn't it? So I'm just going to shut that trade off, which is the highest position, and do some DD control on the lowers. Oh, no. I'm going to close half of that out. I'm going to close half of that one out. Sorry, what? What? What do you mean I can't close out half my position? Wants me to close out a point. Weird. Change something. Wouldn't let me close out a 0.8 when only let me close out a 0.1. Weird. Not seen that before. Oh. Anyway, so bank 1.72. Weird. Potential bank on New Zealand dollar, US dollar as well. That's rallying nicely, but I'm leaving that on because we've just broken out the highs. So I'm looking for a push back into this area here and then a continuation back up into that area. So I'm leaving that one on. Might bank it, might not. See what happens with the rest of it. So 1.72 banked today, 0.19 yesterday, 4.5% on the month on that account. This account banked 6.2% today. Sometimes when you've got a lot of positions on, it just goes mental. So, this is the thing with position trading. You get big paydays every now and again where the market just does everything you want it to do at the same time. And today is one of those days. So bank 6.2% this morning. That brings me up to 10% on the month on the ADR reversal, sitting in 2% drawdown. There's nothing much else to bank today at the moment, although there is stuff I can bank, but I'm not going to. Pound Swiss. God, look at that. Down below my average price, and I'm still not in profit. Swaps. And pound yen is coming down nicely. So see what happens with those two. H1 hedging banked 0.2% today. Can close out a little bit more. I can close out this US dollar yen sell. I'm not going to. It's shy of target. In fact, just because we've got news, I might move it down in case we get a drop on the US. So yeah, 6% up on that account on the month, but there's nothing much else I want to bank on that one. We got 40 seconds to the open. No other news this morning apart from what we've looked at. Netflix shares have popped. We've had some other shares coming out. Obviously, it's earnings fortnight, so there's a lot of earnings going on at the moment. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not expecting a massive pop at the open, so we'll play it by ear today because I just got a feeling we're going to sit and wait for the Canadian news. So we'll see. Afternoon, Mayor, Mark, Rico, hi. I got FIFO'd. I didn't get FIFO'd. I got can't close out half your positions. I'm not quite sure why that was. So let me close out a 0.1, but it wouldn't let me close out a 0.08. I didn't know there was rules for partial closes, but maybe there is. I haven't done a manual partial close for a while, so weird that was. I struggle more when I'm in profit than I'm in drawdown. Everybody does. It's harder to hold money than it is to let it go. It's harder to not take profit, basically. Okay, so no real directional bias as yet. Fair bit of volume coming in, but not particularly strong in any direction. We had a little gap down on the Dow there, but not a lot of movement as yet. Just a bit worried about getting whipsawed today. Short the Dow. Instant decaf coffee. It's like metal. Probably because it's boiled in a kettle. But anyway. Did I survive on instant coffee? I'm trying to go down to decaf. I drink a lot of coffee. So I'm trying to have a coffee in the morning, coffee kind of before lunch, and I'm replacing my afternoon espresso with a decaf. And new health kick, started drinking beetroot juice this morning. You either like it or you don't. It's like Marmite. Short on the NASDAQ. I quite like it, but it does turn you wee red. It's slightly worrying the first time you do it. You're like, why have I got red wee? And then you realise you've drunk beetroot juice, which is literally blood. Anyway, on a lighter note, afternoon, me mate. Never had that happen before. No, what? Red wee or closing out half a position and not being able to? Yeah, neither have I. That's the first time. I think that might have been a glitch. I don't know. That was weird. That was. Yeah, volume step is 0.01. It's definitely trading 0.01 increments. I know I can because I took a 0.16. So I don't know what that was. That was just weird. Anyway, S&P, we're inside the pre-market range. Pre-market range today was the full range, 25-minute range pre-market, 10-minute range pre-market on the Dow and the 15 on the NASDAQ. Yeah, bit whippy. This isn't going to go anywhere, I don't think, for 15 minutes. So a little bit of a tricky open today, potentially. Probability of some hedges today. FTSE's pushing out the highs. So my FTSE target to the upside is just at ADR. So I'm just going to leave that as it is. Manage that on its own. Smash the like, as Mubo said. Hit the thumbs up, everybody. 75 people in here. I'm just going to check how many of you like me and how many of you don't. 18 of you like me. That's not good, is it? 73 of you in here. Why? What's wrong with me? What's wrong? Why you not like me? Come on, let's have a little rally before the news. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. We've got 12 seconds to the 5-minute ORBs in. Afternoon, Amy. Instant decaf. I only thought that existed in the States. No, it does exist. So there's your 5-minute opening range on the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P. S&P is pretty much the pre-market range that I took. Dow's not far off either. Quite big range on the NASDAQ today, but doesn't appear to be an awful lot of directional bias, although the NASDAQ's trying to go short. There's a lot of volume coming in. Very jittery today, market. Have a look at FX while we're waiting. So we've got 10 minutes to go to the open. So if you have any Canadian dollar or US dollar positions in profit, you might want to bank them. Depending on how much profit you've got. I mean, this one is sitting in 0.1% of profit. Hardly worth me banking the Aussie CAD. Euro Swiss, everything will be affected probably, but anything specifically US or CAD based, you're going to get a lot of volatility on. So something like New Zealand dollar, US dollar there at the moment. I've only got 2 positions on it. So it's rallying nicely. What I might as well do is take off that lower position, bank that $100, brings me up to 1.96% for the day. And then it's just as if I've just taken one position and it's either going to hit my target or it's going to go into drawdown based on the news. Yeah. So just bank anything you've got in decent profit, US or CAD related, just to get it off the table, basically. There's nothing else we're really interested in. How New Zealand I'm going to hold on to that for the minute. Let's check the other accounts. Pound yen, pound Swiss. So I've banked everything today, basically. Pound New Zealand, Euro odd, pound US. So there's nothing else there. US dollar yen. So this is the only thing, this US dollar yen short. We're at 125 ADR on the short. The next reversal alert long is going to be there at the moment. And that is 70 pips. It's half an ADR. So that will be an entry long, won't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trail that with 25. That's short. So I'm just going to trail this position because that on this particular account is 0.5% because this is a smaller account. So I'm just going to trail this. It's either going to rally down on the US dollar drop or Canadian drop, or it's going to pop. If it's going to pop, I'm going to get out of that, and then I'm going to take a second position on that long, and then I'll be able to get out of that one as well. So I should be able to get out the US dollar yen regardless if it goes. Obviously, if it doesn't go, then I won't get anywhere. ADRs and everything today, you've got quite a few. Obviously, we've had a lot of movement today, a lot of yen movement, a lot of US dollar movement, a lot of Canadian movement, a lot of Swiss franc movement as well today. So there's been an awful lot of opportunities. We've got all the RSIs that we've played out this week have all played out, obviously. So, and then obviously we've got the hourlies there. So the only real hourly entry is this US dollar Swiss. So hence one of the reasons I got out of this, because if we get a reversal alert, I'm getting back into this long because we're extended. So I shall be taking a long on the US dollar Swiss on the next reversal alert today on M5. US dollar yen's extended on the hourly as well. Again, so out of portion of that ahead of the news, just in case we get that pop, because we've had a very nice drop. So we might well undo some of that move. Euro Swiss is also extended to the downside. Just not enough profit really for me at the minute. I want more. So that's extended to the downside, and you've got the CAD Swiss as well extended to the downside out of the CAD Swiss short from there. So that was an H1M5 mean reversion. That didn't take that one, so out there, back down here. So potential long opportunity on this one as well today, CAD Swiss. But if that news spike comes in and it's like that, obviously not the greatest trade in the world. There's a lot of ADRs to look at. There's not much point in really looking at any of these at the moment, because it's all going to change in a minute when the news comes out in 5 minutes time. So, but there's a lot of opportunities to get in. CAD Swiss to the downside, obviously M5 reversal alert will be, oops. It's just happened. So you just had your reversal alert there. You would have had one there as well. So that would have been an ADR 100 long. And then since that one happened, this is your first reversal alert. So those are your two entries today, there and there. On that one, that one's just gone long. But obviously, you know, these are ADR reversals. There's no point in manually taking a trade literally minutes before that news event, because that could either collapse by another ADR, or it could pump by an ADR, or it could just do that. I'm going to sit there in an hour's time. So just there's no point in taking any trades right now. That's why there's no point much looking at these, because they're all going to move. US dollar Swiss long, just got in long on that one. So there's the entry long off the H1M5 mean reversion. That's that one there. 5-minute reversal alert's just gone in. So if the news is negative US, we end up down here. I'll be taking a second entry today, averaging in for a pullback on that move. So if you want to get into them, but up to you. Right. Dow hedged, S&P no entry yet, NASDAQ short. We've got 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes. Another clip for Brian's Lee's out of context video. What's wrong? Why don't you like me? Yes, exactly. Let me just check. Even after me saying you don't like me, 37 people now like me. That's not bad out of 78. So half of you do like me, half of you don't. Even though I come in here every day and show you how to extract tons and tons and tons of money out of the market on a regular basis, you still don't like me. I don't know what I can do. Can't win. We're rejecting the highs. Just tapped into that Dow. That's unfortunate. S&P's about to trigger short. Short on the S&P. So short NASDAQ, short S&P, hedged on the Dow. Could really do with some positive US news to drive these down today. I'm just going to concentrate on the NASDAQ just because I don't, if this gets pushed down to there and we get a load of volatility, I want to be out of it, but we'll see where we go. Afternoon, David. Although your is most likely actual coffee, I think they use ground up pencil shavings over here. I don't understand decaffeinated coffee, to be honest. How do you take the caffeine? If you take the caffeine out of coffee, it's not coffee, is it? Certainly taste the difference between decaf and I've got a bean to cup coffee machine. So put coffee beans in, grinds them up, makes your coffee for you. Difference between that and that is chalk and cheese, literally chalk. Uh, 50 seconds to go. Euro US dollar as well over here. Just had a reverse alert on Euro US dollar at 150 ADR. For those with high blood pressure, decaf is king. Yeah. I haven't got high blood pressure, but and also beetroot juice is good because it expands your arteries and speeds up your blood flow. Beetroot juice, good for sports as well. It gets your blood flowing faster and you can perform better. Just in case you're wondering, spread starting to widen. Doesn't look bullish or bearish. Me, at the moment, that looks like it's a pretty much as expected result. Uh, 50.3, slightly positive. Very positive, actually. It's 3% up or 2.5% up. Services 52.9 as well. So we're up a good almost couple of percent each there. Canadian rate as expected. So strong US dollar. Aussie dollar Swiss has just hit ADR as well. So that's a strong US dollar. That should be negative index, but we don't seem to be having an awful lot of movement. It's trying. Doesn't look like the markets are actually reacting very strong at all off the back of that. Very little movement. on that US. Quite a few gaps. So there's obviously quite a lot of volume came in there. Let's have a look at the Canadian dollar. Nothing. So the market not impressed with any of that at all. No movement off of it at all. Gutted. So it is bullish US. So that should be negative indices today. So we should see downside on these indexes if the market does actually rally off the back of it. But it seems to be struggling to actually do anything at the moment. Yen doing. I'm on the yen. Little bit of weakness in the yen. A little bit of weakness in the yen on the back of that news. Just really not moving, is it? The market is just not moving at all. What a disappointment. Blimey. Okay, so next news is Bank of Canada press conference at 3:30. So this will be, we just have a look at the meeting minutes and just see if there's anything exciting in the meeting minutes. Expect inflation to remain close to 3% in the first half. Okay, so they're expecting the next 6 months to tick back down to where they were, because we've popped up from 3.1 to 3.4, so they're expecting it to drop back down to where it was. Growth likely to remain close to zero. So GDP, they are forecasting their GDP change to be zero. So it's negative 0.3 at the moment, which means obviously markets, their GDP is contracting growth. So they're anticipating that's going to stay pretty much at base. Inflation been around 3% through first half of 2024, easing to 2.5 in second half. So they are expecting a drop to 2.5, but they're not expecting to hit target of 2% until next year. So that means that's slightly bullish for the Canadian dollar. It means that they're not really thinking about reducing interest rates at all at the moment until they get that figure down, which I would say is probably we're looking at second half of 2024 before they get close to where they want to be, which means then that interest rate will stay the same, which is more bullish for Canadian dollar, because everybody else has indicated that they are going to be reducing interest rates first half of this year, possibly first quarter. In March is the first potential change we've got. So as these interest rates come down, it's more attractive, the Canadian dollar. Therefore, the Canadian dollar will be more bullish. So it's slightly bullish stance for the Canadian at the moment, but obviously these things change. So we'll see what they say in the press conference as to there's no indication of interest rate change at all there. We are still getting news fed out, so we'll see if there's any more. In response to higher interest rates. There's nothing about interest rates in there at all. So tight-lipped. Okay, Dow coming down. NASDAQ retesting propulsion, so retesting the initial cash balance. So we'll see if the sellers that continued that move from that initial flurry of orders, see if they add back into these positions. So far, it looks like they're having a good try. Dow is broken short. S&P is rejecting as well. So it looks like we're going down at the moment, which is good. If I can get the NASDAQ hitting target and the S&P hitting target, these two will pay for the hedge. I've already banked the DAX this morning, so I just need to deal with this FTSE, which is just not going anywhere. We're totally sideways. But early doors. Let's see. Evil. Yes, but you keep saying trading is hard and boring work where you need to put in the effort in order to become profitable, instead of saying, look, I've turned $100 into a Lambo. You can do that as well. That's why you're not liked. Oh, right, I see. Yeah. Maybe I'll start. Maybe what I'll do is a little experiment in February. Yeah. Maybe I'll get a demo account and stick $1 million in it or something. And I'll come in here every day, right? And I'll put all me bling on, get some gold teeth, and wave the keys to my Lambo about, and yeah, and I'll turn that $1 million account into $1.5 million by over leveraging, and let's hope we have a lucky February. See what this happens to the subscriber numbers. Too much effort, isn't it? Pretending to be a Lambo hunter. Weakness coming through in the US. Come on, make your mind up. We might be waiting for the press conference. Very undecided, this, isn't it? Very undecided today. I'm still not ruling out all-time highs. At least a smack on the fanny. Now, I know you're in America, Brian. If you're in the UK, that means something completely different, just so you know. If you offered to give a lady a smack in the fanny, she wouldn't be happy about it. Might be in America. I thought when I was younger, I had an uncle called Bob and an auntie called Fanny for a long time, because my uncle used to say to me, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. And it was a way of saying, ta-da, there you go. Another one of those out of context videos, yeah. Good luck if you want to make an out of context video, because you're going to have to trawl through what? Somewhere in the region of 3 to 5 hours of live content per day to try and find me saying stupid things over the last 2 years. You might be there for a while. I need to stream, don't I, on Twitch, because on Twitch you can press that clip button, can't you? And it just clips out the last sort of 20 seconds or something of whatever's just happened. That's what we need, isn't it? We need a clip button. In fact, I think I might have a clip button. I think there's a clip button in Streamlabs. Just clip button in YouTube? I don't know. Lucky it wasn't Uncle Richard, yeah. Dick's your uncle. Uncle Dick. Tom Dick. That would be hilarious, yeah. Oh man, I've got to look that up. What, Fanny in the UK? Don't look up Fanny in the UK. You will get all sorts. You'll get Pornhub coming up. Guarantee it. It's like I've told this story before, but we went to, my wife and I, which wasn't my wife at the time, but we went traveling around the world for 10 months before we got married, and spent 3 months in Australia. And it wasn't until we got over to the east coast of Australia, we went to Byron Bay and all the places around there, and we went into a shop, and we asked for a pair of flip-flops because my wife's flip-flops were broken. And the bloke looked at me like typical surfer dude, long blonde hair, and he's like, G'day, mate. How can I help you? Stupid, really stupid. I said, we're looking for a pair of flip-flops. He was like, what? Flip-flops? And we're like looking around the store and we went, oh, look, there they are over there. And he went, you mean thongs? It's like, thongs? No, thongs are very, very skimpy underwear. What are you talking about? But thongs in Australia are flip-flops. Very weird. It's amazing. And I've also said about my kids as well. My kids talk about sidewalks, trunks. You know, it's like, no, it's a pavement and a boot. It's not a trunk. It's not a sidewalk. Brainwashed by YouTube. I bought a t-shirt when I was in the US. It stated, I'm fond of fannies. Yeah, fannies was a bar. Yeah, I know. It's weird, isn't it? Don't wear it in the UK. I'm fond of fannies. You're walking along the road getting all sorts of looks. I don't know. It might be something good to wear in the UK. You never know. Depends if you're single or not, doesn't it? Really? Right. This market has died. Okay, so we've still got a strong US dollar at the minute. Looks like it wants to push off the back of that news, which it really should. But we don't seem to be seeing particularly weak markets either. So have to wait and see. Dow's starting a rally. Trying to. Typical, it's the only one that I didn't manage to get a clean break on today. That break was unbelievable. Look at that. So that's the wick of that candle. That's my entry. That is the difference between a hedge and no hedge, which is basically the spread today. So this is what I mean about the Dow. When I've done my analysis on all the instruments I've been trading, the Dow is the one that's been making the losses. Seems to get hedged way more than the others. Today being point as well. And also I'm using quite a wide offset, as you can see here. So that's your opening range. And that's my offset, which is, I've given it a real good amount of room because I've been noticing these sweeps. So we just had an alert. CAD yen RSI extension to the downside. On the 1 hour. So we're just getting extended on the CAD yen. So this yen, so this is Canadian dollar weakness. Let's have a look at what's going on with this. This might be yen strength. Yeah, more yen strength coming through. A little bit. Aussie CAD, just about to TP on that Aussie CAD. That's the second half of the Aussie CAD position. Might as well just bank it. Was that second half? No, it wasn't. No, it was just a single position. That was obviously 5 days of going nowhere. So just stick it down there. I'm out. The trade hasn't worked. The idea was the trade was going to do that. It didn't do it. It just did that. So I'm out. CAD dropping against the Swiss, dropping against the yen, pumping against the euro. So we've got a weak Canadian dollar off the back of this news. Not massively, but it is weak. So US dollar rallying hard against the Canadian. So the market not liking the fact that the interest rates have stayed stable. But obviously this could all get undone with the press conference later on. Okay, we've got some traction on the indices now. So we've got the breakout to the downside, which is nice. S&P is approaching target. So if we can get a break this low, that puts our market structure short. We'll be looking for a continuation drop. Same with the S&P. So downside targets today across all of these. That means the FTSE is probably dropping as well. Do I want to get out of that long? Leave that. So targets, assuming we do break short, want to be looking for the previous day's high, which is there. So previous day's high is 147.68 roughly to the downside. So that would be a decent area to find a bounce. So assuming we're going to put bullish market structure in, you'd be looking for support areas to the downside to bounce out of. If that doesn't work, we've got that high there. So there's a couple of areas before ADR potentially for a bounce as well. S&P downside's the same. Previous days. So we've got yesterday's high there, which is where we closed, and then the previous day's high there. So this propulsion gap here, the previous day's high and yesterday's close, which is yesterday's high. So this propulsion gap to the downside, potentially to find some support for a bounce. Could continue down, obviously, but watch for a bounce out of that. 5-hour target is within ADR today, so let that drop. And the Dow. So the hedge on the Dow, my TP is on that blue line there, which is yesterday's low. So that's perfect. So 5-hour to the downside on the Dow is yesterday's low, which is in the middle of this, the top of this propulsion gap, which is this support. Yeah, so we hit resistance, hit resistance, hit resistance, hit resistance, hit resistance, broke it, support, support. So we're looking for a bounce off of yesterday's low, which is that previous resistance, which has already held up once. So we should at least get a bounce off of it. If we don't manage to break high off of it, we should at least bounce before we drop. If we drop through that level, that's virtually on ADR. You've got that. It's not even an accumulation. That's the closest accumulation. The rest of it's just look out below, isn't it? So this would basically be a failed breakout. So that's your structure: high, low, lower high, straight back down and retest that area potentially. So we'll see where we go. Nothing. Still should be getting some downside. Did you buy your Porsche from Dick Lovett? I haven't bought my Porsche from Dick Lovett, no. No. I don't think I can afford Dick Lovett Porsches. There's a dealership in London where I get my Porsches from called RSJ. Not that RSJ. RSJ Sports Cars. All my cars have come from here. They've updated their website. They are literally Porsche. They only do 911s. That's it. Well, they do. They do other Porsches, but they specialize in 911s basically. As you can see, the vast majority. They do a lot of. They're doing quite a lot of Caymans as well now. I'm going to start car shopping now. Look, that's a bargain. We're car shopping now. Too late. I'm on it. I can't get off now. That's almost identical to mine. Old one. 997. 4S. I had a 4S and a 2S. Trouble with this website is once you get into it, you can never get out of it. 997 is 41. God, they're going up in price as well. Blimey. Anyway, that's where you get your Porsches from in the UK. They are very good. So if that's the fanny, yeah, yes, arse, but that's behind. Fanny's in the front. It's a bit like a Porsche. The trunk is in the front. We call it a frunk. Because the engine's in the back. Which is why, funnily enough, I survived my car crash. Because the engine was in the back. If the engine had been in the front, I wouldn't be here. We're pushing up again on the NASDAQ. Good to see trading can generate Porsche money. Yep. Not new Porsche money. Well, it could generate new Porsche money, but I don't want a new Porsche. All new Porsches are turbos. Best Porsches are the 997s. Flat six, naturally aspirated. As soon as you get up to 991s, 992s, they're all turbos. Not as good. S&P, we've got an inside bar forming on the S&P and the Dow. We are back long NASDAQ. So still fairly heavy, but we'll see. Trading can generate whatever you want, whatever you're capable of. If you've got $1 million account and big balls, you can make $1 million a hair a year. Yeah. Yeah, can do. It's all relative. Money makes money. It's a very, very, very true saying. Money makes money. If you've got money, you can't fail to make money, because if you've got money, you can invest in something that will make you money. If you haven't got money, you can't get money. It's that chicken and egg situation, isn't it? If you want a new Porsche, you're going to need a much bigger account than if you want an old Porsche. But again, I'm a realist. I don't want to spend 145 grand on a new Porsche when I can get a perfectly good 997 for 40. Why would you want a brand new one when you can get probably the best one for 100,000 less? Still looks good. Although every time it goes in the garage, it costs 3 grand. But I owned a Carrera and then 911. 911 was the only car I've ever owned, which scares me shitless. Yes. You should drive a turbo. Yeah. I've had a 911 2S. I've had a 911 4S. And I've been out in my brother-in-law's turbo, 911 turbo, and that was a 996. That thing will scare you to death. You put your foot down in a turbo, you're gone. Proper gone. Turbo's too much for me. The trouble in the UK, well, anywhere, basically, you can't use the power in a Porsche. You can't use it. If you're using your car properly, you're breaking the speed limit. So every time you put your foot down in it, you've got to be looking over your shoulder. You can't drive it. So there's no point, in my opinion, in going above a 911 2S or 4S, because as soon as you go up into the turbos, the GT3s, the GT2s, all that sort of stuff, you can't drive it. And cost of ceramic brakes, £700 a corner plus. Cost of everything, everything goes through the roof. The more complex machine gets, the more expensive it gets to maintain it. So no point. Friend of mine's got or had an R8. Awful. Went into the garage, needed a backlight done. And another friend had a Bentley. Bentley's a better example. Went into the garage, strip light on the Bentley went on the top back window. 7 grand. Not joking. It's a Bentley Continental. Paid 38 grand for it. Took it into the garage for a backlight to be replaced, which cost 7 grand. 20% of the value of the car. But the car did originally cost 100 and whatever. So that's what the backlight costs. It's not fun owning a car like that, is it? At all. Yeah. It's not all about... It's nice to drive around in, but you never want to take it in the garage. Pushing back slightly, rejecting. We are tapping into previous week's high on the Dow. So this is last week's high. This is where we closed out on Friday. So we're just rejecting that level at the moment. Should have closed that out there. Looks like a hedge on the NASDAQ if it carries on rallying like this. US starting to roll over. Aussie dollar CAD ADR. So ADR hit to the upside, Aussie dollar CAD. So I'm out of that US dollar yen short on the trailer. So 0.75 banked on that, on the hedge. So we'll be getting into the next position on a break, which will scale me into that. And if it comes down, obviously I'll get in somewhere down there. Well, I won't, the EA will. I can't concentrate today. Between all-time high, Fanny's, Porsches, can't keep my thoughts straight. Got to talk about something. While we're waiting for this to do something. So NASDAQ, we're just literally coming back to the open to retest. Anyway, where are we today? I knew someone who was a multimillionaire. His worries were, has the gardener cut the grass? Has the chauffeur washed the car? Yeah, first world problems. The problem with money, the problem with earning money, and hedged on the NASDAQ, is that you never have enough. So if you earn 100K a year, yeah, you can live very comfortably. You'll have a nice house and nice car, go on nice holidays, etc. If you earn 200K, you'll have a slightly nicer house and a slightly nicer car and go on slightly nicer holidays. If you earn 300K, you'll have a slightly bigger house, car, and holidays. But you will always have a mortgage up to the maximum you can get. So when you're earning 100K, your mortgage might be 4 grand a month. When you're earning 200K, your mortgage might be 8 grand a month. When you're earning 300K, your mortgage might be 12 or 1600 quid a month, 16 grand a month, whatever. Doesn't matter what it is, does it? It goes up proportionally. And then all of a sudden, when you suddenly stop earning that and you're only earning 75K, you're just as poor as everybody else because your mortgage is still the same. Your house is still the same. The cost of running your car is still the same. Your family still want the same holidays, but the income is lower. So it causes more problems earning more money. You have to pay more tax. Everything becomes more complicated the more money you earn. You're better off earning amount of money that makes you comfortable, keeps you in a decent house, and you have a disposable income. I'd much rather have a disposable income than have the nicest house on the street. Because the nicest house on the street is going to cost more money. And if things go wrong, you lose the nicest house on the street. If things go wrong when you've got a nice house, but you've got a disposable income, you can still afford your nice house when your income comes down. And it will. Always does. So, first thing to go when times are hard, Porsches. Yeah, I went into RSJ. This was just after COVID. Yeah, it was 6 months after COVID because I wanted to chop in my C2S. And he said to me, I can't give you much for it because I have got, as you can see in the showroom, 150 911s, C2Ss, roughly the same as yours. And I was like, well, why have you got so much stock? He said, everybody's selling their Porsches because we've just had COVID, we've just had lockdown. The people that can afford these cars are either working for themselves or running companies. What are they doing at the moment? Making no money. What's the first thing to go? The car. He's sitting on 150 911s and basically giving next to nothing for anybody that wants to sell their car because he's got them all. First thing to go, cars. NAS out the highs. When will you release the new EA? When it's finished. Still working on it at the moment. Still working. Look at my accidental testing. Yeah, I'm running a test on the new EA on 5 instruments. Yeah, in 2 days, it's made 3.5 grand, sitting in 600 quid a drawdown. This is just me testing the functionality of it, not even trying to make money. Bodes well, doesn't it? But yeah, still testing. So I've got ADR and RSI are all working for entry criteria. Scaling in is working. Profit taking is working, as you can see. Yeah, I mean, it's all working, but I've still got a lot of stuff to do. That's in a hedge. $122 profit locked in and out. I'm playing with the logic on this as well. There's a lot of ways to do things getting into trades. So I'm just playing around with different logic criteria for the spacing and things and how to get in and whether it should touch it, be below it, open below it, close. You know, there's all sorts of ways you can get into additional positions. So I'm just sort of playing with entry criteria at the moment, trying to figure out the best way to get in. I know how I want to get in. But I'm just trying to get the logic working properly in it, which it seems to be doing now because I'm trying to get rid of these big candles, these big wicky candles that will go up and touch the next entry point and then close down there and your first trade was there and you're too close. And there's all sorts of things that can go wrong when you watch it in testing. But getting there. No drawdown control or anything in it yet either. Got to build all that system out. But you can trade on ADR, RSI. At the moment, anyway. So if you pick 125 or 150 ADR, for example, It will trade basically whatever extensions you want. So that's ADR. That's the ADR high trigger, which is 150 ADR. Should be 150 ADR. So it won't enter any trades until it's hit that 150 ADR level. So all that functionality is where all the basic stuff. But there's multiple criteria I want to use. Trailing stops, pendings, all sorts of... not trading stops, rather. Trailing pending orders for entries and other things. So a lot of testing to do yet. That's probably not going to take any trades because it's got to get to 150 ADR. Which obviously doesn't happen very often, does it? So anyway. In the mix. And I fixed the buttons. That all works now. Okay, we're back to pretty much back to the opening range on the S&P. Still looks like we're trying to go short on the Dow. And the NASDAQ's back out that high. So 2 hedges today so far. And I'm also hedged on the FTSE. So it's not looking like the best day in the world at the moment. So NASDAQ, let's have a look at where we're going with this. Obviously, we're out the highs basically on the NAS. So upside target for the NASDAQ, I'm just going to go with ADR, which is going to be about 3.5. 3.5 R, 3 and a bit. So I'm just going to try to get out on an ADR hit to the upside. Downside, we've got yesterday's high to the downside. So just moving target. So that's yesterday's high, which is basically where we closed. Which also coincides with that support. So look for a bounce out of there. I'm going to look for a bounce somewhere around ADR if we push up there. Obviously, now we're out at new highs. There's a good chance it might run for the day. The Dow, at the moment, I've got the hedges in place on that. Just going to move that down below ADR. Again, the Dow... got the high from Monday to the upside. So I'm just going to go for an ADR hit. And downside is perfect on yesterday's low, which is within ADR. So happy with that. S&P at the moment is a short only. So if that does get hedged, though, it'll be pretty much the same. I'll be going for ADR high, and downside's a bit more tricky. The S&P. I mean, that is where I would want to target, which is about 120 ADR, something like that. That's a bit too close, but it depends how fast price action is. So we'll probably get a reaction off of that. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move TP2 up there. If this does drop out and we hit target, I want to get out on a potential bounce there. Tricky afternoon. I thought it was going to be tricky because of the news, but okay. Just shorted the NASDAQ for a scalp. Worth a shot. It's potentially going to be a failed breakout. We've got the US dollar, CAD yen 150 ADR now. Really dropping. CAD yen. Everything's coming down against the yen. So we've got a nice strong yen today, which is good to see. US dollar. Starting to strengthen again. So again, bearish indices is starting to, looks like it wants to strengthen up again. Does look like this US wants to rally, but there's not enough volume today. We've exhausted it all. We hit ADRs across the board before we got the news, so the market's tired. So press conference at 3:30, kicking off in 2 minutes. So might get some more Canadian dollar bullishness or bearishness out of that. So you need to be aware of that. If that happens and we do get a big rally on the CAD or drop on the CAD off the back of whatever said in the press conference, the US will probably go to a certain degree along with it as well. So we might get a lot more volatility coming through this afternoon. The whole market might wake up after that press conference because we know which way to go with the CAD, and then they can start moving money around as they need to. So we'll wait and see what happens with the press conference. That's coming out shortly. Other than that, we've got no news really tomorrow morning until the euro rate, which is at 115. So the market tomorrow is going to be pretty stagnant in the morning. We're not going to do anything until we get that euro rate. So it'll all kick off in the afternoon. We've got GDP for the US as well. And then we've got the ECB press conference. This is all happening before the market opens in the US. So Aussie bank holiday tomorrow as well. So busy day tomorrow as well with the euro rate. Again, 4.5. We're not expecting anything different. Lagarde hasn't hinted at anything different. We're going to get 4.5. No one's going to move their interest rates until this inflation starts to get closer and look like it's going to hit that 2% mark. So not expecting any interest rate changes this month. So the market will probably just carry on waiting, which is what we've been doing all of January, which is what we've been doing all of December. So no reason to go anywhere at the minute. NASDAQ's pushing out the highs. Dow stuck. S&P back inside range. So I think it might be a tricky afternoon this afternoon. Looking like it might be a lost day today, unfortunately. For SIH anyway. But who cares? I've banked 2% on H1M5. I've banked 6% on ADR reversals. And I've banked 0.75 on hedging. I don't care. I've made money. I'm happy. Is the new EA using an MA? Yeah, it's one of the entry criteria that I'm planning on. 9 MA as an entry. And also market reversal alerts as well. But a simplified version. Again, none of the complex stuff. I just want to make it simpler. And also a trailing entry as well. Candlestick trailing entry on a pending order. A little bit like the exit on SIH. So when you take, obviously, if you take the shorts off here, we get the pending trailing order. So similar concept, pretty much the same concept as that. What pairs are you running it on? All FX pairs. Has it got a name? What are you talking about, Chucks? I don't know what you're talking about. I've got 3 EAs. This is the stock index hedge EA. I've got 4 EAs actually, but this is the stock index hedge EA. This is the market reversal alerts EA. They're all on the website under expert advisors if you want to go and have a look. Will you need trailing stops on it? No. Trailing stops stop you out. There are no trailing stops. I don't use trailing stops. Anyone ever tested ADR reversals with an MA filter? I haven't. But anything an MA filter, all an MA filter is doing is giving you directional bias. So you can test it with the 4-hour moving averages or daily moving averages. Any moving average you can test it with, can't you? Because it's got an MA filter already built into the market reverse alert EA. But if, for example, let's look at an ADR. Well, US dollar Swiss, there you go. Perfect example, yeah. So if you're using the US dollar Swiss moving average filters, at the moment, if you're using the 4 hour, you should be going short only. But who's to say a long ADR hit like this one today isn't going to work? Look, I'm long, I'm in profit. So if you're using an MA filter, you don't take that one. Why not? It's a mean reversion trade. Mean reversion works in trending markets and range-bound markets. All a moving average filter is doing is saying only go in one direction. Why? Just because something's been going up and the moving average is below price has no bearing on what the next day's worth of price action is going to be. Yeah. The moving average on the US dollar Swiss on the hourly chart is doing that at the moment. Depending which one you're using, it will be a distance away from price, but it doesn't matter. The moving average is going up. I can tell you that because the price is going up. Does that mean that price is going up? No, it's coming down by 150% of its average daily range. Why? Because the market's pushing it that way. That line has got nothing to do with today's price action or tomorrow's price action or anything. If the market goes up, it's not because of that moving average. It's because there's a 50-50 chance of it going up or down every day. So all a moving average filter does is filter out half of your trades. Which half are right? I don't know. Neither do you. So why filter half of them out? You may well be filtering out all the good trades and just leaving the bad ones in using a moving average filter. Think of it that way. Nobody knows which way this is going. You're not in control of it. You've got no way of telling which way it's going. It's going up or down. That is the only two certainties. If you use a filter to say only take longs, you missed all that profit. Unlucky. And if you've just taken that long there and this one collapses down to here, unlucky. You shouldn't have used a moving average filter because you've had a nice profitable trade there. Is it sinking in yet? Get in however you like. Really doesn't make any difference. Imagine the MA on the new EA would result in less holding times for trades. Sorry, yeah, right. So just to clarify, there is no moving average filter on the new EA. There is a moving average entry signal on the new EA. So at the moment, there is a moving average entry signal. When price crosses above the 9 moving average on the lower time frame, it enters the market. It's a entry signal. It's not a filter. Filters at the moment are RSI and ADR. That's it. Not an entry criteria. It's not a filter. It's an entry criteria. The EA you have in development, has it got a name? Position trading EA. That's what it is. It position trades. I haven't named it yet, but it will be named the position trading EA, probably. I don't know. Something along those lines. MST, smack the arse, not the fanny EA has a ring to it. Yeah, we can do that. Some countries will love it. Some countries will be deeply offended by it. Right, pushing up on the NASDAQ. So looking to get out on the ADR push on that. Might well get hedged on the S&P as well. I've got to watch my margin here. 492, I'm okay. I've got 3 hedges on, basically. So when I get out of one of these hedges, it's going to really affect my margin. So I'm going to get hedged on the S&P as well. So S&P targets, I'm going to leave downside target there and upside target ADR. So looking for an ADR push on everything today. If that hedges, I mean, it might not hedge. It might come down. but it's looking like market wants to rally at the minute. So, let's see. Right. US dollar's pushing again. See where we go. Right, that's all I've got for you today. So 2 hedges and 1 short at the moment on the indices, but looking like it might be a triple hedge day today, which is fine. So I will monitor these this afternoon and see what's going on with price action. But if everything starts to turn at the same time and I see the US dollar reversing at the same time, I might decide to jump out and chance an exit. But best case scenario today might be a couple of $100, I think, if I'm lucky. But at the moment, it's looking like a triple loss, which isn't great, but not a lot I can do. Market's just not into it today, is it? We should learn by these days, because I say it all the time, don't I? When you get a news event, the market is dead before the news. It doesn't want to move until that news is out, and it does happen all the time, doesn't it? We just don't quite get enough momentum at the open to make any money out of it. Canadian oil inventories just come out as well for those trading oil. The Canadian press conference is now underway. So just watch the news feed for any news about the press conference. There's nothing coming out so far, but you will get some news trickling out from Canada, potentially, which may well move the market or may not. So, all right. So that's it for me today. Anything you need, let me know in Telegram. I'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, 7:50 for Frankfurt and 2:20 for the US. We will see where this lot goes, but no news tomorrow morning to worry about or overnight. So we've got German IFO an hour after market open tomorrow, and then we're waiting. So not expecting massive movement. Now we've had most of today's movement, I think, unless something comes out of that. So we'll see where we go. But very good day today. Banked the month basically today. So I'm up 21% on the month now, which is great, because it was looking like it was going to be a crappy one. So done good today. Thanks for the live chat. I'm going to help my son learn how to skate. Good luck. Arm pads. Stay long S&P and US Treasuries. I don't know. Don't trade that. But if you want to, do it. Good luck. So I'll be back tomorrow. Anything you need in Telegram. Otherwise, I will see you guys next session. Have a good evening.